Now, I've gotten questions from a lot of you recently asking how to best prepare and plan for overseeding or renovating your lawn in the fall. I wanted to do a video to give out a few quick tips on things you can do right now to prepare and be successful for that fall overseed or renovation that you may be planning. So stay tuned. Now, if you've been taking care of your lawn for any period of time, you know that summer is a very tough period to get through and keep your lawn healthy and thriving. Most of the time, we'll deal with things like drought, disease, or pests that damage the lawn, which causes us to have to repair the lawn in the fall time. Now, the fall time is ideal for repairing your lawn, mainly because the temperatures are lower during the day, you get cooler temperatures at night, and that soil temp really comes down, which helps the grass germinate much better. Now, here's a few things that I've done in past years when I've planned on overseeding my lawn to make sure that I'm more successful. So let's get into it. Now, first and most importantly, if you haven't started doing this already, I would start stocking up on product. Now, this includes getting a good grass seed. I always recommend people to go with a good Blue Tag certified seed blend to make sure you're getting a good quality seed with a good blend of grass cultivars and zero weed and crop seed. Trust me, putting down a good seed blend is going to save you a lot of headaches and time later when you don't have a lot of weeds germinating out from the seed that you're using. Also, a disclaimer: do not use straw when seeding your lawn. You'll thank me later. Just know that using straw is going to introduce a lot of unwanted weeds into your new lawn or overseeded lawn. If you do require a top dressing, use a good quality peat moss instead of straw. Now, also, I would check into looking at some top dressing. You're going to save money if you can get top dressing like a peat moss or a good quality screen topsoil if you're doing a huge overseed area or have a lot of bare spots. If you get that in bulk from a local landscape supplier, if available, you're going to save a lot of money as opposed to buying that in bags when it comes time to seed. Now, the reason why it's important to stock up early on this stuff is everybody likes to renovate and seed in the fall time because it's the best time to do it. So if you buy early, you're going to make sure that the stock is there, especially with grass seed, so you don't get into overseeding time and you're wanting to overseed and then you can't because there's not enough product on the market for you to get your hands on and put into your lawn. And this is also a step that a lot of people overlook, but check out local rental places to look and see availability or reserve early equipment. So this is like walk behind aerators, core aerators, slit seeders, dethatchers. If you're looking at doing a good renovation, you need the good equipment. Now, I would always recommend, you can usually get this stuff for pretty cheap, renting it for 4 hours or a day, and you can usually knock it out in a Saturday, depending on the size of your lawn. My lawn is 7,500 square feet, and when I'd overseeded in the past, I rented a dethatcher, dethatched it up real good, hit it with the core aerator, and then seeded everything out and top dressed it. So a little preparation on this part is going to save you a lot of headaches when we get into overseed time and everybody else is scrambling trying to find equipment and product to overseed. Now, another thing you can start doing right now, especially us cool season folks that typically mow higher in the summertime, is to start gradually lowering your cut of height. As we transition here, we're in about mid-March as I shoot this, into overseeding time. So if you're mowing at 3.754 inches, gradually knock that down every time you mow by 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch, and just mow a little more frequently and get that down over time. Now, this is going to make less stress on the grass as if you take it from 4 inches down to like 2.5 inches to do a good overseed job. The shorter your grass is when it comes time to overseeding, it's going to make it easier for you to get thatch out when you run that dethatcher over it. You're going to get better plugs by not having to go through all of the thick grass with that core aerator, and you're going to get better seed to soil contact with your grass seed, leading to a better success in your overseeding. Now, after stocking up on supplies, getting your equipment reserved and ready to go, based on a ballpark guesstimate, I would say just be prepared and ready to go depending on the weather forecast. Now, typically in my own experience in Indiana, Northeast Indiana, where I'm at, best overseeding time that I've found in the past is typically from about late August to mid-September, somewhere in there. Now, it may be later than that if we have a hot end of August and a hot early part of September. It's always going to depend on the weather. So there's no hard, fast date on when is best to do this. You're just going to have to watch the weather. But that said, I usually shoot for when soil temps dip down between 50 to 60 degrees, somewhere in that range. Now, it's not an exact science, but in that range is a good temperature range for grass seed to germinate, and it's going to cause less competition from your current grass when you're trying to get grass to germinate in that temperature range zone for your soil. So I found, like I said, typically this is the first part of September here in Northeast Indiana. It may be different for you. Keep an eye, there's a link below for the Greencast soil temps map. If you've never seen that before, it's a helpful resource. You can kind of keep an eye on that. And like I said, it's not a hard, fast science. So if we get into a cooler stretch in your area and you're ready to go, get your stuff out, get the seed down, and just make sure that you're planned ahead for watering as well. So I don't have an irrigation system, an in-ground system. So I've invested in some water timers over the past couple of years from Melnor, pretty inexpensive, but it pretty much allows me to automate my watering. So if you haven't done that or need more information on that, I'll link a video up above in relation to sprinkler timers and the ones that I use to where I can automate my watering. So when I go to work and I overseed, I'm keeping that seed moist throughout the day, 2-3 times a day, leading to better germination as well. Now, while I say watch the weather and play it by ear, you also want to be careful and cognizant of the fact that you want to try to get this grass established before the first frost occurs. If your grass is newly germinated and it sprouts up and then 3 days later we have a hard frost, you're going to lose the grass that you've planted, most likely, depending on, it's not really established, it's not ready for that. So going early to mid-September typically gets us in the range of getting an established turf in 4 or 5 weeks. So by our first frost, which typically is anywhere, this varies too, from mid-October to early part of November here in Northeast Indiana, weather permitting, could be sooner, could be later, just depending on what we got going on. This is a pretty good insurance policy for you to make sure that the grass is established and ready for that first frost so it doesn't die. So real quickly, those are a few things that you can do right now to make sure you're prepared and ready for overseeding time when fall comes around. Now, if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button, drop a comment or question below, and consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss future content here on the channel. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time out in the lawn.